Hello, hello, hello. My name is Scott Stanfield. This is It's My Friday, and I'm a modern longevitarian. And on today's show, I have a special guest for you, my friend, and it was on our podcast, Modern Longevitarian, I think episode 3, Russ Yeager, Physique Transformation Expert. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Scott. Great to see you, brother. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great, man. I wore my STP shirt because I'm from the South, from South Carolina, neighboring Georgia State. You're in a hot Atlanta, so I just wanted to stick with the NASCAR roots today. So
I love it, man. I love it.
Awesome. So here, let me give this this proper intro. Today's guest is a physique transformation expert based in Atlanta who himself won an international transformation competition, and today in his 40s with a young family eats ice cream each night and keeps visible abs. Right, Russ Yeager, welcome to the show. So tell me about ice cream and kids and visible abs. How's all that work?
Definitely, Scott. First of all, I appreciate you having me on again, man. I remember our last call. I didn't know it was your 3rd episode only, but just congrats to you, man. The intro you have and what you going on. This is my first LinkedIn Live. So I appreciate you. And I remember from our last conversation, we had a great conversation. There were some things we agreed. I first of all believe in everything you stand for, man. The total health, happiness mindset. Which is why I love speaking with you. And I remember we had a great conversation. We didn't agree on everything, but we were able to have a fantastic conversation. So, I grew up, chubby kid, as I shared with you before, for your listeners today who don't know, in Birmingham, Alabama. And I wasn't, the fat kid. I'm 6'6", so I could hide it in clothes, but I hated going to the pool because I had to all my friends seemed to have the flat stomach, the abs, and I had to decide, am I going to, show off the big spare tire and be embarrassed? Or am I going to just keep my white t-shirt on? And I usually, took my shirt off because they made fun of me more if I kept the white t-shirt on because they knew why I was doing it. And I remember deciding at an early age, I was going to figure out how to be one of those fit, lean, muscly guys like I saw in the magazine, like I watched, WWF wrestling, and like I think a lot of people did. And, had some okay success on my own, just kind of learning from the magazines and whatnot. There was no internet back then. And then got in okay shape in my 20s, but took a desk job working as a CPA, certified public accountant for one of the big firms, so working on client sites, late night business dinners, drinking and partying with my friends, coworkers in my 20s. 27 years old, decided to get this part of my life taken care of. I hired an online coach, entered an international physique transformation contest in 12 weeks, took my body fat percentage from around 25% to a little under 5%, got totally shredded, basically treated it like a bodybuilding, contest. And it was, it was a flip. I was like, man, this is awesome. I actually look like one of those guys now. People started asking me if I could help transform their bodies. And I did. I noticed early on the correlation between, for a lot of my executive clients, their bodies got better, their confidence got better, energy got better. Therefore, they grew their business, made more money, had more energy, for their kids and their spouses, and their whole life just got better. And that's been my mission, now for the past almost 20 years, is helping, people, get the life, happiness, business, relationships they want, but starting with the physical body first. But to your point, for a long time, I lived the whole lifestyle of, eating every 2 hours, broccoli, green beans, dry chicken, protein shakes. And I was very, very, working out 2 hours a day, 6 days a week. I was very fit, but it consumed my life. Now being 45, I'll turn 46 next month. I have 3 young kids. I run 3 businesses. Like, I don't have time to work out that much. So, I work out 3 to 4 times a week. I teach my clients to work out 3 to 5 times a week, about an hour per workout. And then I eat, and we can get into it if you want on my philosophies on eating. But, I've realized, like, I don't want my life to revolve around being restricted to eating these certain things. And I've noticed most of my clients, like, even they're not gonna eat, quote unquote, perfectly. So I had to figure out a way for myself first, and for my clients who are busy and they don't want to give up the lifestyle and the things they enjoy, to actually get the results they want, but do it in a way that's actually, not painful and even a little bit enjoyable, and most importantly, sustainable.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, you kind of jumped ahead on my questions here and those things, but I had another podcast before Modern Longevitarian. So I had the Restaurant General Manager podcast, which is still out there and people can go listen to. I think there's 12 episodes that I have out there now. But I transitioned. This is my COVID pivot, right? Was this. And one of the questions I really had for you, and maybe we can dig into this a little bit, because, being 27, I've been 27 and lost weight. And basically you can just, look at, I don't know, a plate of chicken and you lose a couple pounds when you're a guy and you're 27 years old. But now, I'm 48, I'll be 49 soon. And, I'm really interested in, maybe the listeners are, not so much how you can transform, but how you can maintain this over the long run, because that's the whole point of being a longevitarian. And by the way, the really biggest point of being a longevitarian is not the fact that you and I have to agree on any one of these pillars or how to exercise or how to work out, because somebody may like yoga, right? And somebody may like lifting weights, and somebody may like endurance running. And so, or fasting is different, or people don't want to fast, or people are vegan, or people are carnivore. That's fine. The science proves what the science proves when it comes to what diet is and those things. But we don't have to agree. I just want to give people the information that they have agency, they have control over their genetics, right? Where you were the fat kid, I was a fat adult, right? I've lost 40 pounds twice, right? And so we can make these changes ourselves. So my question is, what really are you doing now? That would you figure out for you first, and now for your clients that are busy, that really can help them long term?
Definitely. So a couple of things. I'll give you two of my, top secrets. And you said it, man. Like, people, you need to find something you enjoy. And everybody, because that's going to one of the most important aspects of getting results is consistency and adherence. Mm-hmm. And if it's something you dread, you can force yourself to do it for a while. But you're not going to stick with it. So what I found in terms of working out, I'll go working out first, nutrition second, mm-hmm. is with working out, do something you enjoy. Again, whether it's, for me, I love lifting weights. If you like, hiking, or like you said, yoga or Pilates, you should do those things. I will say that I encourage everyone, and we talked about this before, but I encourage everyone to do some kind of resistance training, strength training, weight training. And the reason, in terms of having long-term results, is that when typically as we get older, we get into our 30s, you start losing lean muscle mass every year if you're not lifting weights. And there's a lot of problems with that, in terms of, you start hunching forward, you see the old guy, so your bones can get weak, you can have muscular imbalances, functional problems, all that kind of stuff. But in terms of keeping your body fat down, one of the biggest problems is lean muscle mass is what drives your base metabolic rate, which is the number of calories you burn every day just to keep your body alive. So if you think about it, every year that muscle mass is getting lower and lower, your base metabolic rate's going lower and lower. And so that's why, as we get into our 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, if you're not doing something to maintain or increase that muscle mass, then you can eat the same thing you were eating, same amount, but you gain weight. And that's, a lot of people don't realize that. They're like, it's just not fair. It's because I'm getting older. Well, kind of. It's because you're losing muscle mass. The flip side, if you actually lift weights to increase your lean muscle mass, then you can burn, and this is, differs for each person, but somewhere between 10 and 40 calories per pound of lean muscle. So for example, my male clients that work with me average about 10 to 20 pounds of lean muscle built over the first year. Female clients average about 7 to 10 pounds. Mm-hmm. If you put on 10 pounds of lean muscle, let's say you're burning an extra 20 calories per pound of muscle, that's an extra 200 calories a day you're burning just by having that lean muscle.
Well, there was a reason why I got up early this morning and did a bunch of pseudo planche push-ups and moved some dumbbells around. And it's because I was like, I'm going to be on the show with Russ. I can't mail it in today. Right. I got, yeah.
Love it, man.
Yeah. So I did it. And, I'm also going on a hike today with two of the fittest guys I know in Park City, Kevin Rail, who is actually on the live show and on the podcast. And he was in the fasting documentary. And we were introduced by a mutual friend, and come to find out we know like 50 of the same people. And I don't know how we didn't know each other. And then Jason Teague, who was on the show just this Monday, who we met at working at Roost Chris Steakhouse. We both had the same job, as general manager, because I promoted up into director of food and beverage. And he just released this week his Kickstarter. You're talking about the hunching over, this thoracic mobility bar, where you have a bar where it really kind of helps you stretch and stuff like that. So I'm going, and the snow's supposed to start about 30 minutes. We're supposed to get 9 inches of snow today.
Oh, wow.
It's supposed to start at 2:30, and we're meeting at 2:00. and I'm planning on getting my Wim Hof on with no shirt. So I'm talking about taking your shirt off and showing a little cheese, right? It's gonna be an interesting afternoon trying to keep up with those guys. So
I love it, and that's something the Wim Hof. You practice that, right?
January will be 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's very cool. I mean, something I've been really focused on with myself and with my clients recently, again, as you know, getting into your 40s, I get a little older, is recovery, and I'm trying a bunch of different methods, the cryotherapy and, hot cold treatment, compression treatment, infrared, that kind of different stuff, because I know that's one of the, being fit is great. But being fit and being healthy, and recovering are not always the same thing. And I've been fit and not healthy. I know a lot of people that are healthy, but not necessarily fit. And if you can combine the two, that's when life gets really good and fun.
It is. By the way, if anybody's out there has any questions for Russ or me, just drop them in the comments. I should be able to see those, and I can, towards the end of the show, we'll do a Q&A session here if those pop in. It's you think as a restaurant manager or any job like I had, where you're on your feet sometimes 10 hours a day, right? Recovery becomes a huge part because you got to do it again the next day. And so I actually stumbled on the Wim Hof method, running a hot bath, going to say, how am I going to listen to something today on the Tim Ferriss podcast, but I don't want to listen to something 2 hours. And the Wim Hof episode 5 years ago was like 54 minutes long. And that's how I stumbled on it. And it happened to be snowing the next morning, and I started giving it a try, and I stuck with it. And a lot of things happened with me. My cravings changed. My diet moved to keto because I was craving fat because I was the thermogenesis process. And even, ice baths are in the 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss, right, as a way to burn more calories. So if you're gutsy, throw a bucket of ice in your bathtub, and do that. But I'm not a doctor. I'm not telling you, you got to do your own research. But before I keep talking about that, because recovery is super important, I want to hear there's some new things going on with you. So tell me what's new with Russ Yeager.
Definitely. And I realized I owe my second thing I was going to share for longevity. You want me to share that first?
Let's do that. Then we get into what's new. Yep.
So I shared lift weights because you're going to increase your lean muscle mass or do some kind of resistance training. It's going to help control your body fat levels. The other thing in terms of nutrition is, again, to find an eating plan that works for you. And so I know with you, Scott, like you've got a very specific, you do intermittent fasting, right?
I do. Yeah, that's the cornerstone of what I do. Intermittent fasting. I am playing around with plant-based, and so my carbs are not exactly where they have been over the last 5 years, but I'm playing around with that. But yes, intermittent fasting I will always do. That for me is just listening to my body. I'm not hungry in the morning, right?
Yeah. And I remember us speaking about this. I do intermittent fasting as well, but I like it because it fits my lifestyle. It fits how I feel, and it works for me. But I want to be, and I know it works for you, and you do it a little bit different. But that's not the secret or the holy grail or the way that everybody should do it. Because if you're miserable, not eating for 16 hours or whatever, and you just hate that, and you force yourself to do it, it's not sustainable. So what I talk about with my clients, first of all, is eating healthy versus eating to transform your body or to look good naked, so to speak. And so, and they're not the same thing, and eating, and here's proof, eating healthy is, doing things like, getting lots of pure, clean water, eating lots of, vegetables, eating fruits, unless to some people who say fruit is not good for you, which I would disagree with that. But anyway, eating fruits and vegetables, eating lots of clean, healthy foods. But here's proof that doesn't mean you're going to be fit, because if you overeat unhealthy foods, you're still going to have too much body fat. And you may know somebody like that. They're, vegan. They don't eat any processed foods, no junk, no alcohol, no dairy, no gluten, no nothing, but they're overweight, or they're skinny fat, where they don't look great. Having a toned or lean muscular physique comes down to understanding how to get the right number of calories, number one, doing your strength training, and then getting the right macronutrients secondary to calories, which just means protein, carbohydrates, and fats. And so and the crazy thing is, if you know how to do that, and I'm coming from the bodybuilding world, you can look super fit eating junk food. And that's crazy. Most people are like, no, it's impossible, but you can. And I have to be careful of that because I have that chubby kid who likes to eat. So let me be clear. When I'm saying I eat the ice cream and pizza on a regular basis, number one, I'm doing it. Well, number one, I'm not saying that is the best way to do it. The absolute best way to do it is to eat all healthy foods all the time, zero junk, and get the right number of calories and macronutrients to have the body that you want. But for most people, myself included, that's unrealistic to never enjoy the foods that taste really good. So my philosophy, what I do for myself and teach my clients, is eat mostly healthy foods. So let's say, using the 80-20 rule, 80% of the time, eat the healthy stuff. 20% of the time, eat whatever the heck you want, and enjoy it without guilt. Because we do these mindset guilt trips on ourselves that, talk about good food, bad food, and that just creates all kinds of problems. But 100% of the time, or as close to 100% as you can, get the right number of calories and macronutrients, specifically protein, to get the body fat levels and the body that you want. And that's something, that's something that's sustainable and enjoyable for a lot of people. And then whether you do intermittent fasting, like, yourself and I, Scott, and you eat, once or twice or maybe 3 times a day, or whether you eat 4 or 5 times a day, however many meals you break that into, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's technical things that maybe it matters, but for the most part, you're getting mostly healthy foods, you're getting your calories and protein right, and you're being consistent. Like, that is something that you can do for life, for the long term. And it's going to give you, great body, good health, good energy, and that you're, again, not consuming your life, not making, yourself miserable. You're forcing yourself to do it for a few months, and then you're like, screw it, I got to go back to my old ways.
Right. And I think that's the thing, is that we are having to change our belief systems, right? Because we're taught a way to eat in our first 6 years of our life, and we just replay that tape over and over and over again. I actually didn't even realize this and just told a story a couple of weeks ago, and this will probably blow your mind. But my mom was actually the lunch lady at my elementary school. So I wasn't allowed to take my lunch to school. I had to support the school food service, right? And in high school, they had a hamburger French fry line, right? Every day, hamburger French fries in one line. And then the other side, they had the rotating menu. The only days that I did not have a hamburger and French fries for lunch in all 4 years of high school was when they had pizza in the other line, right? So think about that. Hamburgers and French fries, whatever oil was in the late 80s, because I graduated in 1990, right? Whatever oil they had, whatever was in that burger, whatever was in that bun, whatever high fructose corn syrup was in that ketchup that I had. I mean, that was my lunch every day in high school, was either pizza or hamburger and French fry line. And I don't even know how I didn't weigh like 250 pounds, man. It was the craziest thing, right?
Dude, so we were the opposite. We had the rotating line, and then we had the pizza. It was called primetime pizza, I remember.
Right.
And I would get primetime pizza every day. And except when they had hamburgers and fries, I would get that. No joke. Like, literally. So I was the exact opposite of you. And we would literally have, I was on the basketball team, so we sat together, of course, right? The basketball players, and we'd have contests who could eat the most primetime pizzas, and we'd, stack them up. So yeah, it's outrageous. And then of course I had to get, at least 2 or 3 ice cream sandwiches for dessert.
Right. Yeah. Wow. It's wild, and I actually started lifting weights when I was 17 for my racing career, karting, because there's no seatbelts on go-karts, and we were pulling big G's, racing on asphalt ovals and stuff like that. And so I was fit, and even in spite of my diet, in spite of my honey bun Gatorade breakfast from the convenience store, all the things that I did wrong, my Swiss rolls, my 6-pack of Mountain Dew a day, all those things that I did wrong, right? I was still in good shape. And then I got in trouble when I got into the restaurant business, is where I really, really got in trouble. So let's talk about what's going on new with you, right? Let's do that. And then I want to lead into the third thing you really focus on, which is mindset, right? Because I know that you're one of the very few personal trainers that really talks about mindset. But tell me what's new with Russ Yeager. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me what's new with you.
I can hear you. It's going out a little. I'll take blame for that. I am on Wi-Fi. So yeah, man. So there's a lot of great things going on, man. I know you and I were talking right beforehand. Just earlier this year, which seems crazy. 2020 has been such a crazy year. But I had the opportunity to speak on Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con stage. 13,000 people in attendance. Kevin Hart, John Travolta, Floyd Mayweather, some of the other speakers. Dream come true. Lots of amazing things have come from that. And then just recently, a couple of weeks ago, he held a virtual boot camp, which had, I think 10,000 plus people on, and had a contest, basically like a Shark Tank, to pitch Grant your business. And so I like contests. I like challenges. And I know literally that I have something of great value to offer them. So I entered this contest, made the top 30, made the top 10, and then pitched live on Zoom and ended up winning the competition and winning $10,000, which was awesome. Actually, the lady who came in second, Kim Walsh-Phillips, who has an excellent marketing coaching program. We literally just had not lunch together, but we met for coffee. She came in second. We both live in Alpharetta, Georgia, ironically enough. So that's been a huge thing, man. And just getting, clarity on my goals, my business goals, my goals to get my message out to more people has really come in the past few weeks. I had a huge meeting, with my staff, of my 2 personal training studios in Atlanta. Then I have one virtual lady that lives in Colorado. I think she said it's snowing out there as well, which makes sense. And just really shared my vision and where I want to go with my company, with both my studios and then the online Body Transformation University platform.
Right. Well, I love what you do. Right. I mean, for me to get you back on the live show and those things. I mean, and what I love about you is that you've got a foot in both worlds. You're not just, when I mean that, meaning like you literally have 2 studios where you train people physically in Atlanta, plus you have the online. It's not like you are just, an Instagram influencer where you're just getting coaching clients and you're not actually working, with people one-on-one. And so, and I know that through both of those programs, the physical and the virtual, you've influenced how many tens of thousands of people over the 20 years you've been doing this, or 18 years?
Close to 20, about 18. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. It's been an amazing to learn about this and see where you're at. So what's the next step with the Grant Cardone piece? You won the contest, right? So is he going to invest in the company and grow it that way, or what's next?
It's to be determined. I'm going down there in December, and I gotta close the deal. But I have a basically my idea is they've got Cardone University, which is a sales training platform, not a sales training, the best sales training platform, like hands down, outstanding. I use it, my team uses it, and so I've got Body Transformation University, which in my opinion is the ultimate platform for transforming your physical body health, emotional, mental health. And I believe, and when I had the chance to speak on his stage, I shared this, that, without your physical health, you're never going to maximize your business or your personal income, because of, you do one. I always tell people you're 6 months away from transforming your physical health, body, and life, because in 6 months I can get somebody not only in the best shape of their life, but I can get their mindset right and create the habits to where working out, being fit, it'll never become easy. You still have to put the work in, but it's kind of like brushing your teeth. It's just a task. It's just part of your lifestyle at that point. 3 months, they can transform their body, but you're one workout away from transforming your confidence and your mood. And if you get a great workout, I mean, you go into work a different person. You have more confidence. Your clients, your team members, your employees, if you're, business owner, like they feed off of that and they can see that. So, and also, if you don't have, so many business owners work themselves so hard, push. And really, when you think about it, they are the biggest asset of the company. If they can't work anymore, the company's going to cease to exist unless they put in amazing, systems and operations. But even so, like you are the biggest asset, and so many people neglect their health, and eventually you can redline yourself for a long time, but especially as you get older, something's going to give, something's going to break down, and you're not going to be able to. You're either going to have a timeout hopefully, to where you're going backwards, or even worse, you're not going to be around long enough to where, you see a lot of the most successful people, in their lives. Warren Buffett's a great example. Like, he built the majority of his wealth and business, the last 10 years versus the first 7. I think he's 82, the first 72. And so just being able to be healthy and go the distance so that you can reach your full potential is a huge deal. So that's my idea, is to incorporate the Body Transformation University into the Cardone University. They're definitely interested, but I just got to get with them and work out the details.
Well, that's amazing. And I believe the same thing, right? Which is, because I encourage people to ask this question, is like, where do you see yourself in 50 years from now? We think 3 to 5 years, maybe 10 years. But, someone like you, I mean, like you're 45, turning 46, you're like going, okay, 50 years from now, what am I looking at 95, right? And I was really inspired. The last restaurant job I had in Santa Monica, we had this, most restaurants give a free dessert for somebody on their birthday. Server comes to me and it's like, hey, table 10, it's the lady's birthday. She's 95. I was like, okay. I go comp it off and I go trucking over there, because here I am, the modern longevitarian restaurant manager guy, right? And I walk over there and she has a goal. She tells me, I have a goal to be 105, to live to 105. She got 10 years to go, right? And she's having her dessert, right? And, it was really a cool conversation to have with somebody like that. So thinking long-term like that. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I really need to listen to you, because the last 2 weeks I've been pushing so hard on getting, traction on this live show. And this is my COVID pivot, and, the modern longevitarian. I could easily, and I did fall into the trap where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna skip my workout today. Right. And next thing you know, it's like I did one workout last week, right? Versus 3 to 5 workouts, right, that I normally do. And so it's easy, even for someone who has a business, or a brand around, living your best life. I can easily justify to do the work to skip a workout or 2 or 3. And that's why I was motivated today, because I knew you wouldn't let me off the hook, right? So.
Well, dude, first of all, that's awesome about the 95-year-old lady. I love that. One of my goals is to live to 100. And I just kind of made that up just because it sounds cool. But, you're making me think. I guess when I get to 95, 90, especially 99, I got to come up with a new goal to keep me inspired. But, right. It's super important to have goals. But you said, man, accountability is so key. I have my coaching clients. We get on Zoom once a week, and I'm holding them accountable. I'm coaching them, I'm answering their questions, but it's just I always tell them, it's benefiting me just as much, because I know I'm going to be coming on and, hey, Scott, what'd you do this week? What'd you accomplish? Did you do your workouts? I need to lead by example. I can't slack on my, myself. It's the same reason I say 45 years old, 3 kids, 3 businesses, keep visible abs 365 days a year, even though I grew up the chubby kid. Okay. Now I got to live up to that. Right. So right. Accountability is truly the secret sauce of getting the body health energy you want, really getting anything that you want in life.
Right. I agree. When I was putting out leadership stuff, and I still do, this week, I did a show that was called, it was titled, how to coach your restaurant or business like a championship winning football team. Right.
I love that.
And yeah, it was. And so I really laid out all these things, what great coaches do. They surround themselves with great coaches, and then they recruit top players, then they train them. And then there's repetition and all those, I broke all those things down that I did in the restaurant world and really correlated it to that. But I found out as I was posting things on leadership or restaurants that I could only put things out that I really actually believed in and things that I did. Right. And the same thing, it's I did a show earlier this week on how I combine keto and intermittent fasting. Right. And it's yesterday was 1:30 and I was getting a little bit hungry. I'm like, well, I said on the show that I don't eat till 2:00. So what can I do? Salt under the tongue, drink some water, make my way. And they actually didn't end up eating until around 6. It was around 5:30 when I went in and got a snack. So I actually was able to go another 4 hours from that. And here's the thing. Let's go back to intermittent fasting, because I got a lot of questions about that. And what I found out over this almost 9 years I've been intermittent fasting is that and it's changed for me over time. In the beginning, it was about losing weight because I was still 30 of the 40 pounds overweight when I started. And I was still a carb burner. I wasn't keto, I wasn't any of those things. And I was fasting for 20 hours. Right. And still today, my gut instinct, what happens is if I go, and I didn't do it yesterday, which is great, maybe because I'm so aware of it now, but if I go too long, um, I um I will binge or gorge myself or eat too much, right? So my sweet spot is 18 about 18 19 hours, right? 20 21 24 on a consistent basis is too long for me, and 16 is too short, right? So and so this, so what I'm saying is that everybody can find their sweet spot. Like you're 16 and then you eat again, where sometimes I'm 24 hours in a day and then sometimes I'm 16. It fluctuates with me because I really try to listen to what my body and what I can do and those type of things. So I just want people to understand it's like there's no one set prescription for any of these things, right? With that.
Definitely. And I think I mean, you've said it twice and you're so right. It's listening to your body and knowing what works for you. And, again, I was brought up from old school, bodybuilding, eating every 2 hours. Like you got to rev your metabolism, you got to feed your muscles or you're going to melt away. And I mean and I was hardcore on that for years. So for me to try intermittent fasting, I don't remember why I try. I guess I just started hearing enough about it. And I like trying. I mean, I've pretty much tried everything over the years, just using myself as a human guinea pig to see what works. And I said, I'll try this out. And, and I like it. And the reasons I like it, and I picked the 16-8 just because I read that's the best one to do for muscle building. I read that somewhere. Hey, it makes sense. That's not too hard because you're sleeping, 7 or 8 hours of that time anyway. And I'm very by the book. So when I first started, I'm like, okay, if I got to stop eating at 6 and then I can't eat at 10 until the next day. And I realized it was like, okay, my family's having dinner at 6:30. I can't have dinner with them. Like, that's ridiculous. So I follow the 16-8, but I'm not crazy about it. Sometimes I'll go longer. Sometimes I'll go 18, 20, 20 hours. And I'm fine with that. If I start getting longer than that, I've realized I start getting hangry and I'll binge. So the 6, sometimes I'll go shorter. Sometimes I maybe go 14, 15 hours. But I use it as a tool. It fits my lifestyle. Not only having to eat a couple of meals a day is way easier than having to prepare all the meals. I have a big appetite. So getting to eat 2 big, satisfying meals, it almost feels like I'm doing something wrong. Cause I'm like, man, people see my dinner and they're like, how do you eat that way and look that way? I'm like, well, I know exactly how many calories, I'm getting and how much protein I'm getting. And it's all calculated. It's not random. So those are my 2 main reasons, but I know there are, the health benefits of it, are definitely there in terms of longevity, as you know, and I like it. But again, it's, I guess to my main point earlier is it's a great tool. But it needs to be something that works for you. Because again, if you're forcing yourself to do it and it's miserable, then you're probably not going to stick with it. And it is a tool. It's not, the marketing around intermittent fasting is huge right now. It's been marketed almost as a magic bullet where hey, as long as you eat in the window, you can eat as much as you want, which, is definitely not true. Even if you're in a 4-hour window, if you're burning 2,500 calories a day and you eat one meal of 3,000 calories, you will gain weight.
Yes, exactly. And, there's so many different, pieces to this, right? When it comes to it. I mean, I was a vegetarian, I was a fat vegetarian, I was, carb burner and those type of things. And, it was definitely an adjustment, to go from, because we were programmed that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, which I agree with, right? It's just my breakfast comes no earlier than 2:00 in the afternoon, right? And that's my first meal of the day. And so how you break your fast is important, right? And so again, you shouldn't be junk food unless it falls into what you prescribe as that 20%, right? Type of thing. And when I read, and I don't know where you got your information on intermittent fasting, but I was gifted a book called The Warrior Diet. And we talked about this in the other show, right? And basically it says you break your fast with raw vegetables, like a salad, right? And so basically you start with, and it's basically like 3-course meal, right? So salad, and then you have cooked meats and vegetables as your main course. And then And then you would finish up with carbohydrates if you needed them, right? And occasionally you could have pizza, and things like that. So, and I stuck to that, right? And I would eat a lot, right? But I was moving all day long. And plus I had a stand-up desk. I'm sitting down right now, but when I'm not on the show, I stand up the rest of the day. I actually built a desk before it started snowing to put on top of my other desk so I could stand up, because you and I talked about how I lost 7 pounds in about a month's time just by moving to a stand-up desk. And so I was kind of tricking myself. That's like, hey, I'm standing up, I'm going to burn more calories. That'll be okay. But I don't move as much as here at home as I do when I work in a restaurant. So I have to find balance with that. So I do some every hour on the hour stuff and, things like that. So with that,
I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of people don't realize, like, literally the difference in the calories you burn standing up versus sitting down is significant, and then, again, walking, burns even more the more active you are. I always like to say walking alone or standing up is not a fitness program, but burning 6 calories and creating more activity, which is definitely a good thing.
Right. In our world, right, we spend so much time, not moving, because it's really, so what happens is that exercise is a supplement. It's like a vitamin C, vitamin D, it's a supplement to make up for the lack of movement that we don't have in our culture. When you look at the blue zones, where the people who live to be 100 years old, right? So for me, my goal is not to live to be 100. I do say that I want to be 100% at age 100, but I really want to move my health span out. I really want to extend my health span. I'm not so worried about lifespan. I think that the lifespan will be a byproduct of health span. But my point being is that blue zones, there's cues in their culture just naturally. And blue zones are areas of the country or the world that have 5 areas of the world have the highest per capita people over 100 years old. Every 20 minutes, there's cues for them to get up and move around and do things. They garden and they do that. And of course, in Japan, they do some karate and things like that, but they don't lift weights. They don't join gyms and they don't run marathons. They don't do any of those things. And so, but it's interesting in our world, which is why I call this modern longevitarian. How can we use the technology, the science, and supplement as of exercise like you have to really optimize our life, our human performance, our fitness, and our health at the same time? Because they're like I love what you said. They're two different things. You can be fit and unhealthy, and you can be healthy and unfit. But when you combine the two, that's really when you're moving, right?
100%, man. 100%.
Yeah. So you talk about mindset, right? And which is, like I said, most people, I think there's only one other physical trainer that I've really ever heard talk about it is Peter Crone. But you talk about how, and well, I take that back. I've heard two other people on top of that. Bruce Lee said the body will follow the mind. And Arnold Schwarzenegger said basically the same thing, right? That there's this connection between the mind and body. So talk about the mindset of what you teach and how it helps with transformation.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it much better than Bruce Lee, but what your thoughts become what you say. What you say becomes what you do becomes your habits become your life. And it starts in the mind. I mean, what we are focused on consistently is what we're going to move towards. And so if you, and a lot of people start with the physical, which is not a bad thing, because in the beginning, if you're trying to, if you're 40, 50 years, even 20, 30 years of, habits that aren't conducive to having a good body, being healthy, being fit. And then you try to convince yourself, stand in front of the mirror, I'm a healthy, fit person. Your mind's going to be like, you're full of crap. And so actually getting accountability, like we talked about. So you force yourself to move your body and start taking the action of a fit, healthy person, and start changing your eating habits is the fastest way to start getting physical results. And it will start to slowly change your mindset. But those, you said it earlier, like those habits from when we're kids are ingrained. And if you don't work on this part, your mind and your beliefs, then your mind's gonna always take you back to your core identity. Being true to our identity is one of the most important things for our mind. So if you don't change, your beliefs, your identity, even if you start physically changing, it's like a thermostat. If you ever heard that analogy, like, if you don't change, if you start getting above, start getting too hot, then the thermostat's gonna cool you back down, and it's seen in self-sabotage. So it's a huge part of it. I mean, again, on these within my university, I have a whole section on mindset, motivation. Motivation gets a bad rap. Like, I disagree with that. People will say, well, motivation doesn't last. Well, that's true. But it's the same thing as, brushing your teeth. You got to do it every day. It's the same thing as, well, that's like saying, doing squats doesn't work if you do it one time. It doesn't. But like every day, man, I'm personally listening to things, watching things that are motivating me, that are putting good stuff in my mind, so that I can, continue to stay focused, stay motivated, to take the actions I need to take, and to combat, our, thousands and thousands of year old mind, which was created to protect ourselves from, animals and stuff that were going to attack us. So to look for the fear, look for the danger, and to combat the fear that is being fed into us every day, fear and negativity from social media, in the news. I always say, if you go into the day neutral, you're going to end up negative, because the vast majority of what you're hearing and seeing, if you're not intentional about it, is negative. So being super intentional about your mindset in terms of your success and your physique and health, and anything you do is so critical.
Right. And what George is doing, a recount, right? A manual recount of all the votes, right? So we don't even know who's, officially the president yet, even though the media said it's Biden, right? So stressful times in our country, right? And when you actually start, because we're all connected, you start seeing how the world's paying attention to what's happening here. It's in the presidential race and those things is really interesting. I never really realized how that happened. But you're right. If you start neutral, you're going to end up, if you're watching the news and you're listening to people and you're on social media, you're probably going to end up deep in the negative, in the deep end of the pool, going, how do you swim? Right. It's really an interesting piece of the puzzle.
Definitely. Right? And not only that, is it's taking you off track of where you want to go. If you're consumed by it, and this year is a perfect example, is, people are, with COVID and the presidential election, all the crazy stuff, are so consumed. And again, you need to be informed, you need to know what's going on, but so many people just get, like zombies consumed with it. And they're just going with the flow versus staying focused on what their goals are. And I mean, I shared with you a little bit, but like my business this year has moved forward more than ever. And the reason, I believe, is because I've stayed and I've helped my team to stay focused on what we're doing, whereas so many other people are distracted. They're not focused. And again, my heart, I know a lot of people have been, businesses have been hurt really bad. People gone out of business, and I definitely have a sympathy for that. But a lot of it, and some of it is out of control. Like, we were forced to be shut down. When you're forced to be shut down, like, there's only so much you could do, although we did pivot and moved online. But a lot of it is you can control. But again, it's just like so many people are distracted right now, and worried about the president's super important. Like, who's the president, right? But like, does that affect our lives? Yes, to a degree. But if you're just waiting to see who the president is to then say, okay, either, oh, my person won, okay, my life's going to be all right, or my person lost, I'm screwed. Like, you have no control. Whereas actually you do have a lot of control, regardless of who wins the, presidency, over, what you're going to do with your life, and what type of life you're going to have, health you're going to have.
Right. Yeah. Your goals could be the same, right? No matter who the president is, right? You're still, in America, you're still an American, so maybe there's going to be some couple changes, right? Tax structure may change, or there may be, reopening the country or shutting the country down, or those type of things. And you got to think, I was furloughed in March, at the end of March. That's the longest time since I've been 21 years old that I haven't worked in a restaurant. Right. It's been a long time for me. And so I was like, okay, what can I do with this time? Right. And what can I do with this? And reconnect with my family, because I was living in California and they were here in Utah. And then, also what can I do to pivot? Right. And so you went online and pivoted, and I had this brand that I bought the domain name for 8 years ago, and I never did anything with it. And I did all this research on the side, and now this whole modern longevitarian brand that's in the world, and it's amazing. So,
That's awesome, man. I love that.
thank you. Thank you. It's been a fun ride, and I've connected with people like I never expected. Right. And it's been an amazing, journey just in this opening months. And it's been really cool. Like you and I met, I never would have met Russ Yeager. Right. It's like, and all the different people.
Dude, that's so cool. Like I was telling you, I just had coffee with Kim Walsh Phillips, and we did a little Facebook Live on her, her live. And it's like in terms of building your business, like I've always heard this, but I've really gotten it. Like it's creating relationships and connecting with people that are like-minded, that, have big goals, that are making a positive difference in the world. Like that is one of the biggest things that's, you meet somebody and then it leads to, the next thing. And then the side benefit of that though, is like getting to connect with people like you and like Kim, like that makes me get excited. It charges me up. It makes me feel excited. It makes me happy, to be able to connect with people like yourself. So I think that's so huge in a day where we were already isolated a little bit. And now with, people staying home more, like, and everything being on Zoom, like people are so isolated. So I think it's super important for a lot of reasons, not only business, but also mental, emotional health and the connection that we need as humans, to connect with other people who are, not necessarily agree with everything you agree with or exactly like you. They may be totally different than you, but that have a mindset of, positivity, taking action, taking control of their lives and adding value to the world.
It's super important, right? And the old adage of even when we were kids, right? They say don't hang out with the wrong crowd. And now a way of saying that is you're the average of the 5 people you hang around with the most, those things. So I mean, like I'm, like today, like you're super fit, right? I'm hanging out with you for an hour, right? Then I got Jason and Kevin, they're super fit. I'm gonna hang out with them for a couple hours, and I also have coaching clients as well, and if anybody's interested in working with me, you can, I'll put a link in the comments and the show notes after this is over. And if you're interested in working with Russ, you can go to that bit.ly link right there. So bit.ly/transform Yeager, and it'll take you to his 7-day free Body Transformation University website, and you can get started with him. But anyway, that's what I'm hanging out with these super fit people now, and today. And so it inspired me to go work out and move some weights around. And because my goal before 50 is to be about 10% body fat. And I'm about 15 right now. So 10% body fat, and be able to do pistol squats, both legs, and be able to do a planche push-up. Right. And so those are, pretty big strengths of faith, or feats of strength, right, that I'm really working towards. And so I got inspiration just by the people I'm hanging out with today, with that.
I love it. You'll definitely do it, man. I mean, your environment is so important. I mean, it's like there's certain laws of the universe. Like if you're hanging out people that are super fit or super successful, financially, whatever, like you're either going to, rise up to that level, or they're naturally just you're not going to be hanging out with them anymore.
Right. So the system's going to spit you out. Right. It's really, it's just not going to let you live there. And that's one of the theories I had about, restaurants. If people couldn't hang with the level of, service and excellence that we were putting in the culture, the system would just kind of spit them out. Right. It just, they couldn't make it there. One more question before we get, because we're getting close to an hour here. One more question here is, you've been working with your clients online on Zoom and things like that. What is one of the trends or a couple trends that you've seen happening with COVID? I know your business has expanded, but I just wonder what people may be struggling with, or maybe what victories are out there.
In terms of the fitness industry specifically?
Or just your clients, what are you seeing? Is there any common trends or threads that you've seen, like because they're at home more, they're, are they working out more, working out less, gaining weight, losing weight? I mean, what are you seeing, right?
Yeah. So I saw really pretty hard 2 different directions when this happened. And I'm happy to say most of my clients took the first direction is we just said, hey, we're pivoting. this is for my personal training studios. We're going to do online. I know it sounds weird. Let's give it a try. And we had to figure out quickly how to make it effective and how to make it effective, even if they didn't have any equipment, because some of our equipment, clients have home gyms or some dumbbells. Some had none. We actually let them borrow equipment because you couldn't buy any. Once all this hit, it's everything sold out everywhere, and they're doing incredible. I had, and my online coaching clients, they're, in terms of me interacting with them, I'm not there physically one-on-one counting their reps, but they, what most of them need is not someone physically there. They need the accountability. They need a coach. They need the plan. They need the follow-up. They need somebody to be able to dial in, change things, with their calories or their macros or their workout, all that kind of stuff. They need the motivation. They need that camaraderie of the other guys in the group. So that didn't change. But what did change is a lot of, the gyms are shut down. So how are you going to work out? So, my guys that had gyms at home didn't miss a beat. And my guys that, had gym memberships, we had to get creative. I mean, I had one guy, Paul, who's he's been with me a little over a year. He's lost over 80 pounds. He's totally shredded now. He's now building up muscle. He's up to eating 4,000 calories a day, still at like 10% body fat. The guy's a beast. He's actually become a fitness professional. So just totally transformed his life. But this gets to it. He was committed. It wasn't a matter of what was going on in the world. Didn't matter. He was committed to his goal. So he ordered these big water jugs, huge water jugs, and filled them up and used those as his weights and didn't miss a beat. So if there's a will, there's a way. It depends on how committed you are. Unfortunately, I saw a lot of the other direction with, some with my clients, unfortunately, and a lot with most of the world, is they gain the quarantine 15 at least, right? They use it as a reason to retreat, to eat more, to drink more. And, what I'm seeing now, though, is people are ready. They're realizing I need to be fit, not only physically, but the mental, emotional, anxiety and stress is like through the roof right now. And so people are coming back out. Like, we're busier than we've ever been, because people are realizing, hey, I need to do something for myself physically, mentally. I need to be healthy, fit. And, but it's really actually benefited my studios, because we have individual, in Atlanta, we have individual training suites. So they're in there with one person, just their trainer, or maybe one other person. So it's, easy to social distance. It's not like a big crowded gym. So we're getting clients. So, hey, I'm ready to get back out, but I'm not quite ready to go to the big gym. And then we're continuing to use the virtual. And that's been a blessing for us. So one of my early mentors, Tony Robbins, taught you can either look at things happening to you or happening for you. And that's a perfect example. This online, we've got people in, I think, 7 states now doing virtual one-on-one training with one of my coaches. And this is separate than my online coaching I'm doing. We never would have had that if this didn't happen. So it was really a gift in that sense.
Yeah. And I one day I made a correlation to that quote. How some things come to you in the morning when you're like between that sleep and waking up state. And it was Einstein said, the biggest decision we have to make is whether you live in a friendly or a hostile universe. And I went, that's the same thing Tony Robbins says, is that when life happens to you, you're in a hostile universe. And when life is happening for you, you're in a friendly universe. Yeah. Right. And
gets back to your mindset. Yeah,
it does. Right. It really gets to your mindset. I mean, you definitely can look at, like Scott got furloughed. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm not working. I'm not in a, I'm not working in a restaurant. I'm not a general manager. I'm not a director of food and beverage. I'm not, these things. Right. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, what is happening for me? Right. Well, now I got time. Right. I got time with my family, which as a restaurant manager, you don't have a lot. Right. I got time to take care of myself. I got time to recharge and do that. And what can I do to impact the world in a positive way? All right. How can I be like Russ Yeager? Right. So it's like, how can I do that? So as we're wrapping up here, Russ, where can people find you online other than the link that we have right under your name there?
Yeah, so the link you put in there, I believe that goes to my Body Transformation University. I'm doing a 7-day free trial for any of your listeners. I'm on online, Russ Yeager, you've got it spelled there. That's my name on Instagram, Facebook. Where else am I? On LinkedIn here. Right. And I love sharing, education, inspiration. So like questions you guys have, happy to help out and get you pointed in the right direction, whether you work with me or not, to get in the body health energy that you want.
Yep. Well, Russ, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's been amazing catching up with you. I know your family's growing fast, your young family, and I just want to say, I want to say thank you for what you do in the world and the people you help, and to your future success. With winning the competition with Grant Cardone, it's been amazing, and you're a great inspiration for a lot of people, and even for me. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Well, I appreciate that. And back to you, man. You're doing big things, and happy to be on, man. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again in the future.
Yeah, we'll have you back on when, something new comes up or in the near future. And I know that, we're getting into your season where January New Year resolutions and things like that come into play. So I can't even imagine what the New Year's, if you're getting busy now, what the New Year is going to bring for you. So it's going to be a great 2021 for you.
Yeah, and then last piece of advice I'll leave your audience with. So many people that when the holidays come say they shut down their workouts until after the new year. Worst thing you could do, because you're going to be eating more. You're probably going to be drinking more. It's inevitable. Don't stop your workouts. You're going to hate yourself on January 1.
Exactly. And the best thing, I think the very best thing for me about intermittent fasting, getting back to that, and the holidays, is that I can still hit my calorie mark. I can still hit my fasting window. I can still do all those things and still enjoy the holidays and still not even fluctuate a pound, right?
100%.
And if you get serious about your workouts, right? And you can think about this, and I didn't mention this earlier. If you skip your workout, skip a meal, you get more time to work out, right? Because the time it takes to prepare the meal or go through the drive-through or eat it and all those things could be spent in a 20, 30-minute, workout. So it's like it really fits together really good, right? It's amazing, how that works.
Yeah, that's a great point. The time savings.
Yeah, because most people say I just don't have the time, and that's just not true. We make time for what's important for us. We really do. Yep.
Absolutely, man.
All right. So here we are, and this is going to wrap this up right here. I'm going to play this video. So you can, for more information about Russ Yeager, you can go to that link right there. I'll put another link is actually in the comments. You can click on that. I did that while we were doing the intro. And and I'm going to put another comment in the show notes for a link how you get in touch with me about coaching programs. And if you want to learn more about being a modern longevitarian, you can go to strongerforlonger.com. It's going to have a pop-up that comes up just in seconds. This is my book on sleep, which is, I think, the most important thing you can do for your health. And it's called Outstanding Landing, How to Get the Sleep of Your Dreams. And so it's my Friday. And if it's your Friday, have a great weekend. I'm going to play this outro.